I just want to say thank you for
Yeah,
joining
of
me. And
course.
if you could just tell me a little bit about your background
Mhm.
in, being a swim instructor and like how
Yeah.
you got into doing that.
Yeah. So, I was kind of looking for a career change. I was working in radio, and all throughout my life, I'd worked with kids, and I'd always wanted to be a mom, loved working with children. And so I said, well, what can I do that is involving something that I really love, that I'd be passionate about? Two things I'm passionate about: water and children. So ever since I was really young, we always spent a lot of time around the water. My dad and I were certified scuba divers, and I got that certification when I was 10 years old.
Oh, that's really
So
cool.
I've been around the water a ton, surfing, the ocean, lakes. So loved to be in the pool. We had a pool in our backyard growing up. And as I was looking for this career change, I remember driving past an Aqua-Tots Swim Schools on the way to work. And I said, well, that would be something fun. It's teaching kids how to swim. Like, I love kids and I love to be around the water. And it's different from just your 9 to 5 desk job. I'd be out, be active. So I applied, and I really wanted to be a swim instructor. And when I had talked during my interview a little bit about myself and what I was interested in, we had looped back around and they had said, we might think you'd be better off at the front desk and just kind of getting to know the curriculum and what we're all about first before we dive into the water, literally. And so I said, okay, sure. So about 6 months went by, and I was looking to pick up more hours. And I had asked if any positions were available in the water, and they said yes. So I had attended some trainings and started teaching swim lessons within 6 months. And then shortly after that, I became a Master Water Safety Instructor. So that's someone that can teach new instructors how to teach the lessons.
Okay.
Um, and then that was about 2 years, 2 to 3 years that I did swim lessons and worked the front desk. So I had a really comprehensive background on how to teach swimming lessons all the way um, from 4 months of age to adults, and even including children with special needs. So you were starting with very young little babies, just getting them acclimated to the water, getting their faces wet, learning how to be on their backs, feel how comfortable they can be in and out of the water, get that sense of depth perception, getting them familiarized with it, just like you would bath time.
Mhm.
And then all the way to swim club and swim team. We offered that, teaching kids how to do your freestyle, your backstroke, your butterfly, your side stroke, all of those. And I loved it. I just loved it. And I wanted to be more of an advocate for it outside of just the pool. So I had contacted the owners of Aqua-Tots, which happened to be the location that I was working at was their one school that they had owned. And I said, I love this company. I love the people that I work with. I love what we stand for. I It's amazing and so rewarding to see kids graduate from levels and accomplish swim goals. See kids that come in crying because they don't want to go under, they don't want to be
Oh,
away from their parents for like a month, and parents staying consistent with their kids around the water and saying, nope, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. It's, safety first. We got to get you to be safer on the water before we can even go in the pool this summer and have fun. And seeing those kids, now in level 5, 6, doing front stroke, backstroke, wanting to do swim club and swim team, and just the confidence overall that it brings them. And so I reached out to them and said, is there anything else that you have available? And they said, yeah, we actually have availability at our headquarters office, doing franchise support. And so I then transitioned over to the headquarters team at Aqua-Tots and started to work alongside franchise owners about how they run their business. How do they get hiring? What kind of people do they find? Where's the best place to open up a swim school? What areas need it the most? And within that, I did a lot of research just overall on drowning and swim safety and the importance of it. What are parents' fears? What are kids' fears? How do we overcome them? What are just simple reminders that we can do Say if we can't afford swim lessons, what's something that we can do on the side? What can we start them with? And then later on, I started working in marketing. And so that was really just to aim at the parents of the importance of swim safety and making Aqua-Tots available to families worldwide because they also have swim schools in Vietnam and
Oh, wow.
Mexico and Thailand and Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Turkey, and they're all throughout the world. And it's a wonderful company. And so I was there at the headquarters office for maybe 7, 8 years. And then now, since I moved to Texas, I've been doing social media work for 5 locations, so 3 in Texas and 2 in Virginia.
Okay.
And so my mother-in-law and my father-in-law own those 5 schools. Um, and yeah, my husband and I just happened to randomly meet in the middle because we had both
Yeah.
Aqua-Tots. And so we're a big swim family. And then I just remember when we got together, it was like, okay, like we know what we're doing when it comes to the swim stuff, but like, what are some things that we're missing?
Mhm.
And so once we had our first child, Lucy, I became a stay-at-home mom and worked from home part-time. And so we had access to our apartment pool, which was great because I wanted to get her out and get her familiar with the water. And I think we got her in the water at 3 weeks, just
Oh,
having her
wow.
just
Yeah.
swim back and forth and feel the water um and in combination with that, we also did a lot of practicing in the tub. So that meant when she was very little, hopping in the shower with mom and dad and doing 1, 2, 3, and then having them hold their breath and then putting them under the water, the shower, letting the water feel their face, drop down, get that feeling of water on their face and their eyes. And I think that's mostly like the biggest step for kids is they don't want the water in their eyes. They don't like it in their face. Their hair is getting everywhere. And then you see, kids wearing swim goggles but they don't know how to swim, but it's a fun aspect of it. But if you take a step back and think of why are we teaching our kids how to learn to swim properly? It's yes, we want them to have fun in the pool. We want to be able to all play. But when they're that young for such a short period of time, if you think about it from 0 to 5, 0 to 4, 5, 6, um, they really need 100% adult supervision all the time. But those kids need adult supervision because they're not necessarily going to be able to get out of the pool if something were to happen. So my mind
Right.
goes to emergency, right? The pool is the first place where I really don't have that much control. If I were to let my
Right.
kids and be, I have to be fully involved, which means no phone. I'm not drinking with friends. I don't have people over and I'm, trying to talk to them and like hang out with my kids in the pool. Let's get you safe in the pool. The goal is if my kids were to ever fall into the pool, do they know how to get out of the pool safely? Do they know how to roll over to their back to grab a breath of air when they know that they're running out of air, but they're not close to the wall yet? And then how do they roll back over and
Yeah.
swim towards the wall so they can get out safely? And that's the goal of teaching your kids how to be safe around water. Once they've got that down, then work on those swim skills to help them swim comfortably in the water.
So, how would you recommend like parents start that process? Like that was like a light bulb to me because I had never thought about what you just
Yeah.
said. Like that the goal needs to be like them being able to like get themselves out of the water. So,
Yes.
how do you like? I have a 2-year-old and
Hmm.
he like is not scared of water, which scares me.
Yeah.
He like we've done the shower thing since he was like
Hmm.
2. Well, since he was like 1
Great.
because we don't have a bathtub, so he
Hmm.
just has to take showers and we'll
Yeah.
just let it. So he's familiar with it when in his face, and like it scares me to death because he
Right.
cannot swim, but he thinks he can swim. Like
Right.
he thinks he can get out of my arms. So like
Right. Right. Right.
what? How like what do I or what would you suggest to parents that like are at that point?
Yeah, so what I would recommend and what I've done with my children, I have a 3-year-old now and a 5-month-old. So I'm just transitioning out of that 2-year-old. I know that like awkward, like we're gonna go to the pool, but I need to be fully with you,
Hmm.
hands on. I can't have any distractions. Find a kiddie play pool, even bring it into the
Hmm.
house, fill it up with a couple inches of water, have them practice laying on their back, have the sensation of feeling water in their ears, because that's another thing that the water in the face, they tend to freak out. Now, the water in the ears is a different situation. So when you have water in the ears, you'll see a lot of kids, they don't
Hmm.
like it. So comfortability is number one. Get your kids comfortable around water. Get their eyes wet, get their face wet, have their hair down, get their ears in the water. So practice having them lay on their back in the tub, in the pool, and you're good. And whether that's, hopping into a pool and just having them lay on their back, rest their head right next to you, lay them back so their ears can get wet into the water. That way they can feel it. They know what it's like, the sensation. They need to know what the sensation is. Your child may think that they know how to swim because they know how to walk, they know how to talk, they know how to breathe and do all these things above water. But those same things that we know how to do above water don't work underwater, like walking and talking and screaming and rolling
Oh,
over side to side, holding our breath. That's something that we're not used to. So getting them comfortable with those things because kids love to blow bubbles. Let's teach them how
yeah,
to hold their breath first, because if we think about that, when we're blowing bubbles, we are letting air out. We want to keep that air in.
right.
So let's hold our breath for five. That's what we practice. Let's hold our breath for a five count. Eyes, nose, eyes in. One, two, three, four, five. Pull your eyes up. Now let your air out. Because that's going to teach your child once they're face down in the water, I need to hold my breath. As soon as I feel like I need to grab a breath, I'm going to roll to my back. So we practice ears getting wet, eyes getting down, and then the third thing is the rollover. The
Okay, okay.
rollover. So try with the eyes first, then I go with the ears. Once they're comfortable with both of those, then I start practicing rolling over because that's going to be the key. That's the survival. So
Mhm.
they were to walk by the side of a pool, slip in. How do I roll to my back to figure out where I'm at first? And how do I stay still and calm? Figure out where I'm at. Where's the wall? Okay, I see it. Roll, take my breath, kick, 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 kick until I can reach the wall and grab it and pull myself out. So, things that I like to practice with my kids when they're in that young 2 to 3 stage is the eyes in, floating on our backs, keeping our toes down when we're on our backs. So, another good point to make is when they're laying on their backs, kids automatically start to do this shape. The
Hmm.
head comes up, the feet come up. So, what we want to try to do actually is have them put their feet down so they kind of arch their body like this more. It looks more dramatic.
Yeah.
But if you say toes down, head back, then you're kind of counteracting the head up, legs up.
Okay.
Automatically, just when you do this in the water, bing, you're just going to sink
Yeah.
all the way down. So if you can go flat on the water, kind of like an umbrella-ish, then
Okay.
you're going to be more apt to being able to flow onto your back. And then have them just rest there. Get comfortable resting on your back. Because if they're not at the stage yet where they can roll over and kick and put their eyes in, at least they can rest on their back and wait. And they can rest on their back, catch their breath, and then yell for help.
Yeah.
Yell for
So,
help.
what do you think are some misconceptions that a lot of parents have when they're starting the process of teaching their children how to swim or when they start taking them to the pool for the first time?
I think some misconceptions that parents have, first, when it comes to trying to get them maybe into swim lessons, I think that's a great goal to start with. I think as soon as you can, get your kids in the water, especially at those younger ages. So, like for example, if Aqua-Tots starts at 4 months, that's a parent and taught class. And most all swim schools will have a parent and taught class where the parent joins in. So that's a great opportunity for the parent to learn what to do. So, highly recommend enrolling in swim lessons when they're younger, even if you pop in when they're 1, 2, 3 and they've never done it before. Get them in swim lessons, have them learn the base, and that's going to give you, the parent, the knowledge of what they're learning, how they're doing it, and you're going to be able to watch them. So those are some tips that I always suggest, especially for the younger ones when you're in that parent and taught class. Get them in that class for a few months, start practicing those skills, and then take them home with you. Practice them at home, practice them in a community pool, practice them in the bathtub if you have a bathtub. Practice the little tricks like getting out of the water, like getting out of over the step. And you can do that easily on a couch at
Yeah.
home. You don't have the buoyancy of the
Oh,
water. It's
okay.
harder. It's harder to do it because you don't have the buoyancy of the water lifting you up and you don't feel as weightless, but it's a great practice. That's you start elbow, elbow, belly, knee, knee. So you'll climb
Okay.
elbow, elbow, push with your arms so your belly goes on top of the couch, and then pull your knees up to get yourself out safely.
Okay. Oh, that's a
You
good
can
one. I'm
practice
gonna try
that. Yeah, you
that.
can practice it at home.
Yeah.
You got a couch, you have a bed, have them practice climbing up on the bed like that. And even, sitting on the edge of the couch and then rolling over to their tummy and sliding down off the couch. That's how, when they're older, they can get into a pool, out of a pool without a step.
Mm.
At both of the places that I've lived, the apartment complex and our now pool, they usually always have steps. So for that reason, I'll take a few toys. I'll take a couple sinking toys that I know will sink and a couple toys that will float. And I just sit on the first step with them. Sit on the first step, practice getting wet, say, hey, let's check out these toys. One floats, one sinks. And then I want you to reach for the one that's sinking. That's helping them see depth perception. So another
Okay.
thing is when children are around the water, say they see these steps, but those steps to them, if this is a new, area that they're not familiar with, they're going to think it's maybe one step. They don't know how far down it goes, and things are magnified underwater. So, that being said, when you take, say, for example, a diving ring and you put it on the step, they might think it's closer than it actually is, but it's farther. And that's something that I always like to practice with my daughter. First step, she does great. Try it on the second step. Just and be right next to her. Hold her hand. I want you to reach down and grab that. Can you grab it? Okay. They'll usually grab down like this and then start again. I want you to reach down, put your chin in the water. I want you to reach down, put your eyes in the water and grab it. So those things teach depth perception. And then another misconception I think that parents have when getting their kids introduced to swim and swimming is starting swim lessons in April and May. Working in swim safety and marketing in general, seeing the influx of parents looking for swim lessons in those spring, summer months, it's great, but they're like, I've got a vacation next month and my kid needs to know how to swim. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You want your kid to swim this summer? It's not going to happen. You want them to swim safely and have those skills down. It's just not going to happen. And I know that's not what we want to hear. It takes time. So, my recommendation, and I really wish all the parents can hear me say this, get your kids in an indoor swim lesson program in the winter. Yank them out in April. They're going to have all those swim skills down, and they've just spent an entire year in the pool. I cannot take my daughter into swim lessons for the winter and have her hop in the summer and immediately see a regression in everything that she's learned if I've taken time off. So if you can get your kids enrolled in swim lessons throughout the winter, that way there's a continual practice year round. It's like that's exactly what we're looking for. That's going to help
Yeah.
them so much that they're going to feel so much more confident in the summer. And then you're going to feel confident too when they're in the pool. So those are some little things that I have. And then another misconception is teaching their kids how to swim. Say if they can't do lessons, but they have access to a pool, is putting them in some type of flotation device. So whether that is the arm floaties, the puddle jumpers, the life vest with the strap at the crotch, anything like that, the little tubes that have, the foot holes,
Hmm.
um, all of those are for parents. They're not for kids. They're so parents can have their hands free. Parents can enjoy themselves. Parents can move around. Parents might have a few kids. They can't go to the pool alone, so they're going to grab the smaller one for their baby. Our rule in our home is we have two kids. One person needs to be with mom, one person needs to be with dad. We need two separate sets of eyes. Sorry, honey, we cannot go to the pool today. We have to wait till daddy gets home. So, not stretching yourself thin, making sure that you are the main priority for your kids. You're always looking after them. You have eyes on each child. Never take your eyes off your kids because these devices, not only are they just for parents, but it's teaching your child a false sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is when we swim, we don't swim upwards like we're standing. All of those devices force your child into that standing position. In that standing position, just like I talked about, when the legs go up and the body comes to like a pencil, it's going to go down if they don't know how to swim. And that's the same thing. If your child were to fall into the pool, slip, get pushed, anything, they need to know to move their body horizontal and not keep it this way. If they're so used to being in the pool with those floaties and those jumpers that keep them upright and their head above water, that is what they are going to expect when they fall in an emergency. Whether it's a lake, an ocean, a pool, a, a bathtub, that's what they're going to expect. They want their head to go up like this, and it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the saddest part is drowning is silent. It's quiet. If your child is used to being in an upright position, they can't even have the motor skills to bring their head up. So that case, with that being said, is their arms are flying under the water,
Mm-hmm.
their eyes and their ears and their nose are
Oh.
underwater, and you cannot hear anything. You cannot hear anything. That's why it's so important. So for us, it's safety first, and then we'll have some fun later.
Mm-hmm. So, do you think that there is an appropriate use for those types of devices? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think only certain ones. So, for example, the arm floaties, get rid of them altogether. There's no purpose for them whatsoever. Puddle jumpers, same thing. They're even worse because they have the flotation device
mhm.
around the stomach area, which adds extra support. The only thing that I would ever say to use is the life vest, the U.S. Coast Guard approved life vest.
Mm,
I would only use those in the ocean or the lake or a large body of water.
okay.
Otherwise, we do not use any flotation devices in the pool with our kids.
Okay. Um, um, so for, so I'm from a very rural area of West
Mhm,
Virginia.
mhm.
And honestly, like for most people that lived in the area where I live, um, there aren't very many public pools.
Mhm.
So in the summer, we're going to the lake or the
Yeah.
river or something like that. So where would you suggest parents who are trying to teach their small children how to swim in a large body of water like that first? Like, how do
Mhm.
you think, does it change the method of how they should
No,
start
don't
anything?
don't change the method. Like hop in the pool with them. And the thing is, you want to get that when we go back to that first step of comfortability. So for example, when you want your child to start walking or they're starting to walk, they're not holding on to anything. They're not grasping onto mom. They're out, they're feeling things. They're feeling no one's holding me. I'm doing this on my own. Same type of thing with your child in the water. Obviously we can't let go of them. So with that being said, when you have your child in the water, we're used to that close hug, bring them out. Bring them out underneath the arms, just bring them out. Get their shoulders wet. Give them a little sway back and forth like this. Have them like an arm's length away from you so they can feel what it's like to be in the water without mom and dad close. They can feel their legs move. They can feel their arms move. And then slowly start to dip their ears in. You can dip their ears in. We do this with our 5-month-old. I do it with my three-year-old. Make sure those shoulders get wet. Feel it. Get your ears wet. Now
Yeah.
get your ears wet. And then start to go glide with the water. Glide with the water, And that's great. When you want them to swim from point A to point B, say, hey, we're going to go over to the dock. Hey, we're going to go back out to the beach. What we're going to do, I'm going to take my child and I'm going to put them in that horizontal position, hold them on the side. Okay, I want you to kick your feet, kick your feet, kick your
Yeah.
feet. You do that every time. Every time kids learn by repetition, they like routine, they like knowing what's coming next. So you just have to do it every time that you are moving to and from a place and give them a break without that life vest. So yes, have the life vest on when you're in the boat, when you're by the river, but make dedicated time to hop in the water and practice those skills. Practice having them float on their back without the life vest on. Practice swimming side to side, getting the ears wet. One, two, three, eyes under, get those eyes wet. Practice getting their eyes wet, doing the submersions because it's inevitable. If your kid were to fall into the pool, their head's going to go underwater.
That's like the thing that's scary for me, like when I have my son in the pool and he's trying to go under, like I'm
Mhm.
scared of like how do I safely let him go under? Like how
Yeah.
long is just a dip in
Yeah,
and
start with
out
a
or
dip.
okay.
And like I said, what kids like predictability, tell them, say, I'm gonna put you under for one, two, three. And we're gonna so one, two, three, eyes in, one, two, three. And you're gonna count out loud so they can hear you. Remember, they're under the water. So one, two, three, and then have them come up, blow their air out. Good job. So he wants to go under, have him practice holding his breath, count for that three, and then work it up to five. And then I wouldn't go any further past five.
Mm-hmm.
One, two, three, four, five. Eyes up, and then always teach to get a breath after that. So that's practicing breath control. That's great. It's
Yeah.
great. Comfortability, breath control. So one, two, three, eyes in, and then put their eyes in and have them come up, and then slowly increase it as you go. But just mix between all of those skills, the depth perception, the on the back, holding your breath, climbing out of the pool. Those are all small steps that we can do as parents to make sure our kids can be safer around water. And the more you do it, the more habitual it comes for your child. The more of it's got to be a reaction. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
in an emergency situation like falling into the pool, you don't want your child worrying about ice in their face or water in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Take the goggles off. Don't let them have goggles until they know how to swim. Teach them how to roll to their back and grab their air. Teach them how to stay still in the water on their back. So think of emergency situations and just keep practicing those skills over and over again. And as when you do it, like for example, getting his eyes wet, you can do one, two, three, eyes down. Mama's going to let go, and then I'm going to bring you back up. So then you can do that. And then
Okay.
once it's better with going underwater, have him do off the steps. Say, I want you to go ahead and grab that toy off the bottom. Do you see that? Or do you see that seashell? Okay, mom, I'm right behind you. One, two, three, eyes down. Get, and then let go. Let him come back up. He will come back up and then pull him up. Great job. That was
Yeah.
awesome. So just lots of practicing over and over again. And the more that they find it fun and you have fun with it, the more they're going to enjoy swimming, the more they're going to want to practice these skills. It's almost like a mom, look, I made a circle. Mom, I drew the letter A. It's something
Mm-hmm.
exciting, but we know deep down it's a life skill. It's something
Yeah.
that they need to know. And even more so when it's one of the leading causes of deaths in children. It's
It's
accidental.
so scary. Like
It's
I think about
so
it all the
scary.
time when I think I just took my son to the beach on Sunday and like I was scared the whole time. I did have him in the life jacket when
Mhm.
we got in the
Yeah.
ocean because I was so scared. I was
Yeah.
just like I could not. But it's just like, I have family members that I'm probably one of the few people in my immediate family that can swim. And it scares
Yeah.
me for them as adults.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
nephew's in high school and he can't swim, but he loves to fish. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, just
come
in case.
on.
And that's the
So,
thing too, if you aren't 100% comfortable swimming and you don't know how to swim, even up to adults, wear a life vest. Wear a life
mhm,
vest if you're in an open body of water, but at least try to practice in a shallow area of water. I think that's
yeah,
very, very important. And then just keep reiterating the importance of it. We always wear a life vest when we're out in the ocean. We always wear a life vest when we're on the boat.
yeah,
And just practice in shallow areas.
yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know your kids are down for a nap. My
Yeah.
son's down for a nap too. So do you have any resources, like online resources or any like accounts that you like to follow or your social media if you want,
Yeah.
people can look there for resources if you
Yeah.
want to give those a little shout
Yeah,
out.
follow Aqua-Tots Swim Schools. We're always posting great information. We're posting skills that you can practice at home, tips and tricks on how you can get your kids comfortable in the water, and lots of videos that you can see what we're doing. So I think that's great. You can always follow me. I love to post things about my kids swimming. My Instagram handle is Chels. Chelsea R. Morgan, I believe. And I'll send you the information on that so you can have it. And there's a couple others too that I really, really like. One is, I think, safe water play, and it's a mom and a dad. They're swim instructors, and they do a lot of things with babies in the pool. I also follow National Drowning Prevention, so that's another great resource to follow. And they're giving out small tips like don't wear blue colored swimsuits in the water. They
Mhm.
blend in. Wear bright colored swimsuits. Your kid's going to pop out if anything happens. You can spot them right away.
Right.
Little tips and tricks like that. So, yeah,
Well, oh, are we frozen? Oh
no, I'm
no.
good.
Okay. I thought my computer has been like freezing the entire time. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we're frozen again. But um, so I do you have any final thoughts you want to share? Just like leave us with, a piece of advice for the parents or anything like that?
Something that our little slogan with Aqua-Tots is safety first, fun every second. So that's kind of our motto here at
Oh.
home. So safety first, let's be safe, but let's have fun. Like make it a fun experience. Have fun with it. This is exciting for your kids, being around the water. It's a different experience. Water calms kids down. It calms people down. It's just nice. It's relaxing. That's what we all think.
Mhm.
So make it part of your family routine to just get around the water, get familiar with it, have fun, but be very safe.